Mangwana ni Mwalilepo Vukenjani Kwekwas Vanave Africa. This is Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you abreast with the latest happenings across the African continent and beyond. In this broadcast, we reflect on the year 2024 with an episode that brings you a comprehensive rundown of key events, milestones, and moments that have shaped Africa this year. From political developments to groundbreaking innovations and cultural highlights to social transformations, we'll take you through the stories that have defined the African narrative in 2024. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia, as well as Network Media Hub on YouTube. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the top stories, bringing you key developments and impactful events shaping the continent and beyond.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, let's get into our top stories. 48 civil society organizations in Nigeria call on President Bola Tinubu to declare a state of emergency regarding the country's security situation. The coalition held a press conference in Abuja on Monday. Last week, 43 people were killed in 2 days of clashes in Central Plateau State, while capital Abuja also witnessed a series of kidnappings some days before that. Awao Musa spoke on behalf of the civil groups, saying 2,423 people have been killed in mass atrocities related incidents, while about 1,872 persons have been abducted between May 2023, when President Tinubu assumed office, and 26 January this year. We are particularly concerned about the upsurge in abductions, noting that at least 230 incidents, in which most of which multiple victims were involved, occurred within the first 2 weeks of January alone.
Now, a group of 13 Sudanese who fled the war in Khartoum have been hospitalized following a cholera outbreak in northern Uganda's Adjumani district. 4 of them are confirmed to have cholera, local health official Henry Lulu confirmed. Officials now plan to track down the estimated 82 people who came in contact with them for follow-up testing. Cholera is a waterborne disease which causes severe diarrhea, dehydration, lethargy, and an erratic heartbeat. It can be fatal within hours of infection. Uganda's latest wave of deadly cholera outbreaks began last July. Sudan declared numerous cholera outbreaks from last September onwards. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Zambia are also fighting cholera. Now, Zimbabwe has launched a cholera vaccination campaign targeting more than 2 million people against the waterborne disease. The current outbreak, which began early last year, has been linked to more than 400 deaths and over 21,000 suspected infections in the country, with about half of the cases involving children. The vaccination campaign is being done house to house in collaboration with the UN agencies and is targeting Zimbabweans aged 1 year or older.
Now, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has been sentenced to 10 years in jail after he was found guilty of leaking state secrets, state media and a spokesman for his party said. This comes just over a week before the country's general election on February 8. The jail sentence follows a trial held inside the jail where Khan has been detained for much of the time since his arrest in August. Imran Khan is expected to challenge the decision in a higher court, but it represents the latest blow to PTI ahead of the election. The case centers around how the pair had handled so-called cipher sent by Pakistan's ambassador to the United States that alleged Washington was complicit in a plot to turf Imran Khan from office in 2022.
Now, Sudan's army and its rival paramilitary force are committing war crimes in Darfur. The International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor has said Karim Khan launched a war crimes investigation into the renewed conflict in July. On Monday, he reported to the United Nations Security Council that he had grounds to believe crimes established under the Rome Statute are being committed in the restive Western region. The situation in Darfur is dire by any metric, he told the UNSC. The Rome Statute established the ICC in 2002 to investigate the world's worst atrocities, including war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and crimes of aggression. We are collecting a very significant body of material, information, and evidence that is relevant to those particular crimes, Khan said. Fighting broke out between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces in April last year, the latest flare-up in a conflict that has been simmering for more than 20 years. The latest wave of violence has left nearly half of Sudan's 49 million people requiring aid, with more than 7.5 million displaced.
Now, Mozambican President Filipe Nyusi on Saturday challenged Mozambique Airlines to open more international routes. According to Nyusi, who was speaking to reporters in Lisbon, opening more routes may help make the company more profitable and sustainable. The Ministry of Transport and LAM have been instructed to work towards doing more and developing more routes. He said LAM has the creative, managerial and organizational capacity and therefore would not need more human resources to open new routes. Nyusi said.
Neo Paints is proud to call Namibia home. For more than 70 years, Neo Paints has been inspired by this country's natural colors and beauty to produce the wide variety of trusted quality paints we have become known for. Proudly Namibian by nature, Neo Paints has over the years involved itself in several key projects across the nation, bringing lasting beauty, premium paints to liven up both indoor and outdoor environments. As durable as the Namib Desert, Neo Paints has stood the test of time through all weather conditions, leaving a lasting impression on the hearts and the minds of all Namibians. Neo Paints Namibia, a coat of excellence.
All right, let's check in with our correspondents stationed across the African continent. They brought us in-depth coverage of the stories making waves in their respective countries. Right, Ari, let's get straight into your stories. It's exciting in South Africa for other reasons as well. The political gloves are coming off as people gear up for elections. What's the latest on the ground?
Yes, Ashwin, it's typical of an election year. Many, I must say, you can see that intensifies. All of a sudden, you hear of political leaders that's been quiet for 3 years. All of a sudden, they're making all these statements and coming back and promise many things. So that's maybe typical. It will be to and fro. That is the DA. They in the Western Cape, they're quite strong. That was some of the meetings disrupted the past few days. There's a bill that they want to table to have more powers on the provincial level. They're claiming that on national level, it's not good enough what's happening in policing, in public transport, electricity, etc., trade and harbours in the Western Cape. So they're trying to push a bill, but the ANC did disrupt that and say they want to just create an old apartheid state in the Western Cape. I thought Western Cape DA doing better. Those are the two, the former President Zuma and his son Duduzane Zuma, just to put into context how the political things are happening at the moment in South Africa. Duduzane Zuma has got a new party. He's not going to vote for the ANC. In fact, he said his dad was also 100% guilty in the ANC's failures. And as it is, President Zuma, he's no longer with the ANC. He's now with the MK party and going to a Seswe party. And the ANC Executive Committee expelled former President Zuma from the ANC. First time in 112 years that happened. President Zuma was member of the ANC for 66 years. So that is an incredible development, but that happened. And Duduzane Zuma, he's got a new party, call it the All Games Changers. So it sounds more like a sports club, but that is the All Games Changers. And he said that he wants to make a difference in South Africa. So it's all happening in South Africa. Gloves are off. So we'll see how it develops. We don't have a date yet, by the way. So we're waiting for the date. So when we're going to vote.
I'm quite interested to see how it develops. It seems very interesting. Now, getting to your next story, the Western Cape is experiencing some bush fires. What is being done to manage this?
Yes, it's extraordinary how many fires they have to cope with. It's a bit suspicious if it's how the fires start. But at the moment, that's some of the fires close to Table Mountain There's three major fires at the moment, mostly in the Boland, also in Tilbach area. It's a town called Pringle Bay, right on the coast, that had to be evacuated yesterday, close to Betty's Bay. Also in Worcester, there was fires. So it's expensive. It is roughly 2 million South African rand per day. It costs 2 million for 2 days, a million a day to cover that. Helicopters need to come in. There's 5 helicopters that need to also assist. And for the last 7 weeks, they've been constantly fighting fires. So hopefully that can be, they can make progress. The challenge in Cape Town and the Western Cape is that the weather is not helping. It's a hot week that's also predicted, mid-30s. So that with the strong winds, so that doesn't help all the firefighters. There was even fire on Table Mountain. So that is a bit of a concern. Hopefully they can get that under control.
Truly, truly. Now, the controversial auctioning of the identity document of former President Nelson Mandela has been postponed. Please tell us more.
Yes, it is because of SARA's involvement. SARA is a South African Heritage Resource Agency. That is the identity document of former President Nelson Mandela. Some reports I saw, I think the one that I saw that made the most sense for me is that somebody, commentator, said, how can you sell your father's ID? That is the one thing that was said, even though he is Nelson Mandela. It was the involvement, or the person that is selling it is Makaziwe Mandela, that is President Mandela's oldest daughter. There she is with him, selling about 100 items, but the company that's doing the auction said they're holding back. There's still court cases with SAHA. They claim that it's not for personal gain, it's not to make money for personal gain. They say that they want to, there's a memorial garden they want to put up next to the grave of President Mandela in Kuno in the Eastern Cape. So I don't know why there isn't money for that, or how easily they can get money in other ways to make that a memorial garden. But anyway, that is at the moment as it stands. A court interdict saying that they first are holding back the auction. So I hope, I think that needs to stay in family possession, not something that you sell.
I also agree with you. Now, getting into your next story, I understand that the school's calendar has officially started, but there's millions of children not going to school. This is concerning.
Yes, it is concerning. Every year there's quite a few thousand that is either late in applying or don't make it. Schools are full. Cumulative, or adding it up, it's a challenge. The statistics in South Africa, there's 5 million children that is school-going ready learners that's not at school at the moment. So you can see the implication. That's what it happens in Limpopo. Actually, they school under the trees, so that's not good enough. So resources are limited. They still attending the class there and having school there. But in South Africa, it is a problem. In Johannesburg, there's 260 schools. They're trying to build new ones as well. It is full. Cape Town was also, Western Cape announced in December that no children can be allocated. 180,000 children that didn't get to go into schools. But apparently they're addressing that now in Cape Town. They're putting them in, trying to make place for that. Also parents applied late, and building 9 new schools also in Cape Town. So there's action, but it's not perfect. So the education system under pressure in terms of volumes in South Africa at the moment.
On to economic news, we explored the developments affecting economies across Africa, from shifts in trade policies to emerging market trends and the impact of global economic forces on our local markets. Stay tuned as we delve into the economic landscape of Africa and highlight the stories that matter. Kenya has lost $200 million worth of exports to Uganda, its largest regional market, since October 2023, new data shows. And experts warn that it will lose more going forward as the fight over petroleum products imports escalates, with major oil infrastructure at the risk of underuse. Last week, Uganda announced that it was moving to Tanzania for oil imports after reaching a dead end in the quest to have its national oil marketer, Uganda National Oil Company, registered in Kenya to facilitate imports via the Mombasa port. Uganda Energy Minister Ruth Nankabirwa told reporters in Kampala on Tuesday that Kenya's continuous frustration of the UNOC deal is threatening Uganda's fuel supply stability. You can't sit there and be at the mercy of one person. So far, I have met the president of Tanzania. My president sent me as an envoy, and we are in discussions, she said.
Now, inflation in Zimbabwe surged as a currency rout pushed up the prices of goods and services, adding to pressure on the central bank to act. Consumer prices rose an annual rate of 34.8% in January from 26.5% in December, according to data released by the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency at an online briefing on Monday. Prices advanced 6.6% in the month compared with 4.7% in December. The major drivers of the inflation surge were food and services, including housing and electricity, the statistics agency said. This month's peak-up is the third in a row since the statistics agency changed its price measure on September 28th to better reflect the use of the US dollar in the economy. The greenback is employed in about 80% of transactions and is favored over the Zimbabwean dollar, which has been extremely volatile since its reintroduction in 2019, following a 10-year break after hyperinflation wiped out its value.
And the Zimbabwean interest rate is the highest in the world at 130%, only followed by Argentina.
Irango Med is a leading distributor, working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irango Med is committed to making a difference. What about you?
And now for sports news, this is where we bring you the updates from the world of sport across Africa and the world. From the thrilling match highlights to athlete achievements and major tournaments to emerging talents throughout 2024.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and starting off with tennis news first. Australian Open, and it is semi-finals time, still a few quarter-final games being played. Also, it is week 2, the finals will be over the weekend. On the women's side of the draw, there's a big semi-final, that is number 2 and number 4 seed that will play. It is Aryna Sabalenka, and she will play against Coco Gauff. Aryna Sabalenka number 2 seed, Coco Gauff number 4 seed, and that is in the semi-final of the tournament for a place in the final. And it is Aryna Sabalenka that is the defending champion and also in good form. And also a great performance by Diana Yastremska. She is from the Ukraine. She's 24 years old and a qualifier into the tournament, but she's through to the semi-final after beating Linda Noskova by 6-3 and 6-4. She's trying to win in the semi-final, will put her into the final, and the last time that happened with a qualifier was Emma Raducanu when she won the US Open in 2021. In the men's side of the draw, it is Daniil Medvedev. He's number 3 seed, and he beat Hubert Hurkacz. He's the number 9 seed in 5 sets. It was 6-4 in the 5th set, and he's also into the semi-final. That is Daniil Medvedev. The other semi-final will be played between Novak Djokovic, the number 1 seed, and Yannick Sinner. And it is Novak Djokovic that's a defending champion, and he's also won 24 Grand Slams, and he's won 10 Australian Open titles. And moving on to cricket news, it is India that will host England in a 5-test series, and the first one will start on Thursday, the first test in Hyderabad. And it is England that announced they will play 3 spinners in the test and only 1 seam bowler. Only Mark Wood will be in the team as a seam bowler, and it is 3 spinners, Tom Hartley making his debut, then also Jack Leach and Rian Ahmed that will play in the first test. Ben Stokes is the captain. He's also playing, but he's still battling with the knee injury and will only bat in the game. Also, it seems that India will also play 3 spinners in the test match, and also earlier setback for them when Virat Kohli announced that he will not be able to play in the first 2 tests, and that is because of personal reasons. And to conclude today's international sports news, it's rugby news, and it is the Six Nations European Championship that will start on the 2nd of February, and it is France that will host Ireland in Paris. Massive game that might also be the decider of the tournament, starting with the first game. Those are the two form and favourite teams in the Six Nations. On the 3rd of February, on the Saturday, it will be Italy that will host England, and Wales will be at home playing against Scotland. And it is England that announced that Ollie Lawrence is injured. He's the centre and he won't be able to play against Italy. Also, there's lots of pressure on the back line then for England, because Owen Farrell also announced that he won't be available for the Six Nations, and that is also because of personal reasons related to mental well-being. And also it is Owen Farrell that announced that he will leave Saracens, that is after 13 years of rugby at Saracens. He will sign for Racing, or he did sign for Racing 92, that is a French top 14 side, and that will be from the 1st of July. It's a 2-year deal that he signed, and he played more than 200 games for Saracens. That is Owen Farrell. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Good.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
DSTV 285, GoTV 25, OneUp2.com and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. Thank you for watching Africa Good Morning. Swera Jakanaka.